It's time for our Week 6 game of the MDA, where we're taking on Gert Bilbo, coach of the Old English Ice Cube. We're currently at a 3-2 record, and this game will mean a lot if we are still looking to be making playoffs. And my opponent is no joke. They're currently the top seed in the entire league, so we need to pull out all the stops in order to make sure that we're winning this week. I feel very confident in the matchup, and I'll get into that in a bit, but of course, make sure you guys leave a like on the video and comment down below your guys' thoughts on the season so far, and if you think that we currently are still going to be able to win the league or not. I'd love to see who you guys are thinking is going to win this season, and with that said, our opponent's team today consists of a Tera Iron Valiant, a Tera Hydreigon, as well as non-Tera options like Rotom Wash, Persian, Ursaluna, Clefable, Pyroar, and Rabsca. This team is a very terrifying Trick Room mode, with Iron Valiant also being a really strong form of fast speed control, and Hydreigon even can set Tailwind if need be. This team definitely is no joke, and it's no wonder that Gert ended up making it to the #1 seed so far, but I do feel very confident in a couple very key threats that do put a lot of pressure on Gert's team overall. With the first one being a Tera Grass Ting-Lu with Tera Blast, Stomping Tantrum, Heavy Slam, and Body Press. This spread is able to take on hits very comfortably from most of Gert's offense, such as Hydreigon, Rotom Wash, and Iron Valiant, with an offensive investment to make sure that we're able to 2-hit KO against Pokemon like Ursaluna and Rotom Wash very comfortably, if not Oko, and Body Press is a great way to hit Hydreigon, which would otherwise wall our other 3 moves here. This Ting-Lu should very comfortably be able to take any hit from my opponent's team, while still dealing as much damage as humanly possible, and in some cases even able to OHKO most of these threats. So I feel very fine with Ting-Lu here, as it should be just a really good catch-all to my opponent. Moving on, we do have Booster Energy Iron Hands with the Detect, Wild Charge, Drain Punch, and Swords Dance. This Booster Energy attack should be able to allow us to OHKO Pokemon like Hydreigon and Ursaluna very comfortably with Drain Punch, while still dealing significant damage to threats like Iron Valiant, Rotom Wash, and Clefable, which otherwise might have been able to take our attacks very comfortably. With the Sword Dance as well at +2, my opponent essentially has no switch into this because the Dual Stab does hit my opponent's team so well that Iron Hands is really just a really good win con for us if we wanted. Speaking of really good win cons, we have another Paradox Pokemon being Iron Jugulis, which you don't typically see having a really strong matchup in VGC, but I feel like this is definitely a week where it can put in a lot of work. With Taunt, this forms as a really good stall breaker option, as it's great at shutting down support Pokemon like Rabsca and Rotom Wash, and then I have Flash Cannon, Dark Pulse, and Focus Splash just to deal as much damage as possible. Using the Covert Cloak, I can get around my opponent potentially going for things like Icy Wind to drop my speed from Iron Valiant and Persian, as well as Persian going for Fake Out, which could maybe even stop us from dealing damage on a given turn. And our speed should allow us to outpace all the way up to Hydreigon, which is my opponent's fastest relevant Pokemon besides Persian, which we will always get outpaced by, and Iron Valiant, which we will almost always get outpaced by unless my opponent brings Modest or Adamant. We do have Heatran up next, which is our other Tera option, which I also want with Tera Grass here. In case you couldn't really tell, my opponent's team doesn't have great ways of beating grass types outside of maybe Tera with options like Fire or Flying, though Heatran with the Tera grass typing can take advantage of opposing fire types thanks to its ability Flash Fire. So in case a Pyroar comes, or maybe like a Tera Fire Hydreigon, which is really good into my team as a good Ting-Lu response, I should be okay here. With Iron Defense, Body Press, Flash Cannon, Protect, this is essentially just functioning like Regulation E-Como, with the ability to outpace any sort of Pokemon like Rotom Wash and Clefable that might be creeping my Iron Hands if they're creeping Jolly, since Jolly Iron Hands has a really good matchup due to the fact that it could potentially tie their Jolly Ursaluna if they go with the faster one. Overall, this should be a really strong win con, and after just single Iron Defense, my opponent struggles to take hits from Body Press as well as just break this thing physically altogether. Just to make sure we can keep this healthy, we do have Lily or Sinistcha with Hospitality, which should be great at healing both the Iron Hands, the Ting-Lu, and also the Heatran. With Matcha Gotcha, Strength Sap, Rage Powder, and Trick Room, this does give us a really good Trick Room setter, since despite my opponent having an Ursaluna, I feel like our Trick Room mode is just scarier here. And with the Citrus Berry, we should be able to keep ourselves really healthy. While my opponent does have physical threats like Ursaluna, I can comfortably take an Ice Punch from that anyway, and any sort of special attacker here frankly has a better chance of breaking through Sinistcha. Finally, we do have Glaceon, which for once I didn't bring Snow Cloak on because I'm gonna get DQ'd if I keep doing that. We have Room Service as our item with the moves Freeze Dry, Blizzard, Chilling Water, and Detect. This overall hits my opponent's team really comfortably, and we should be able to deal serious damage to threats like Ursaluna, Rotom Wash, and Hydreigon with the special attack investment, and the rest just goes into our HP and SpDef in order to take on the majority of this team more comfortably, since we weren't taking a hit from Ursaluna anyway, and everything else is going to be very specially leaning. The rental code is going to be on screen here in case you want to try the team out yourselves. Let me know down below how the team ends up doing for you guys, and again, make sure you guys leave a like on the video and subscribe for more MDA content, as I'll be bringing you guys plenty of Draft League battles going forward. With that said, let's cut to today's battles, which, as a spoiler warning, I did have to recreate this due to the fact that I did end up messing up on my footage and completely didn't record my gameplay. So if you see anything that might be slightly off from the actual game, that would be why. It should be as close of a recreation as possible, at least on anything that would actually have an impact here. So we'll see you guys when that starts. All right, and we're here with a battle against Gert. I did end up sadly having a little bit of issues regarding my camera, so now I'm very pressed on time. So we need to really quickly pick a lead. Very not fun for us. But I'm gonna just throw, we'll throw on Sinistcha, Jugulis. I'm gonna throw Heatran, and I'm gonna throw on Ting-Lu because I feel like that's my best bet here. No Iron Hands is definitely not great, but I mean, it is what it is. I kind of had to rush pick this though because my webcam was having so many issues. My other opponent's Pokemon, we have Tera Flying Valiant, Tera Electric Hydreigon. No Hands kind of actually sucks into that, to be honest. But it's okay. Looking at my opponent's team, let's see. So we have, so we're gonna lead off with Jugulis and the Sinistcha against Rotom, Wash, and Ursaluna. Okay, that's actually really good for us. This looks a lot better than I intended it to be. So we will take that. Therefore, we'll just take the benefits that come from this. So Rotom, Wash, and then I think the last mods were, let's see. So it's Clefable and Persian. Okay, so the Persian did come. All right, that's fine. Honestly, the genuine 6 that I anticipated to a T. The Terra types I got very wrong. But the team itself was pretty accurate. Wario from Matcha Gotcha here, though. I feel like Matcha Gotcha is kind of a low drawback option. We just click Matcha Gotcha, and then something dies. And then meanwhile, for my Hydreigon, I don't know, I don't really need to click Taunt. I feel like I could just click Dark Pulse and just get damage into Rotom. If my opponent switches, so be it. They don't have super comfortable switches into this. And it's just a good damage option. Oh my god, we killed. That just killed. What the fuck? This mon's kind of dumb. How frail was that Rotom? Can we talk about that? Like, I'm only Covert Cloak. I'm not super offensive, and that wasn't a crit either. It just killed. We burned the Ursaluna. Okay, so we got burned a turn sooner. Good to know. Ice Punch is gonna go off. That doesn't kill, thankfully. Of course, we do have our Citrus Berry on Lily, so that is good. We figured out this is Ice Punch, which is again good information. And yeah, so we've already killed the Rotom Wash. Really good for us. Okay. So what are the other mons? I'm gonna guess that Persian probably came, and then it's probably Hydreigon. Hydreigon did end up coming. Okay, Hydreigon's fine. It's Tera Electric Hydreigon. So if it does Tera, that does mean, of course, it's gonna take more from Matcha Gotcha. I think that I just go for the Matcha Gotcha here, in all honesty. And then I just go for the Focus Blast into, actually I just go for Dark Pulse into Ursaluna. I can kind of disregard Hydreigon for now, in all honesty. It's not really a threat to my team. And now that I have pretty much weakened Ursaluna down and I've killed the Rotom Wash, those are the big mons I needed Sinistcha for. This mod can kind of just dip its point. The only other thing it's kind of useful for is Persian. But I feel like they would have brought in Persian to try and secure the kill on the Ursaluna here. Because there's no real reason to bring in Hydreigon right now, in my opinion, if they had Persian in the back. I think that they go with Persian, they go for Fake Out into my Jugulis, try and at least scout, and then kill the Sinistcha that way. And I feel like that's a safer option for them. Not to say it's super foolproof, but I think it's safer than what this is. Anyway, they're going to go for Dark Pulse clearly into my Sinistcha. I don't mind failing this Dark Pulse turn, frankly, because they're going to just lose more health on the Ursaluna. So I'm kind of fine with this. They're actually Nasty Plot. Okay, Nasty Plot is kind of concerning, but it's not too bad, thankfully. I kind of wish I went for the Focus Blast here, but again, not really too bad, thankfully, because we could still potentially burn the Jugulis. We'll still get off some good damage as well anyway. So again, not really too concerned with this. We're going to go for the Matcha Gotcha again, and then I'm going to go for the Focus Blast here, because realistically, again, it's just about getting off damage at this point. And if my opponent's gonna let me do that, then that's kind of fine. We're just gonna get the damage off. We know this is Nasty Plot though. Nasty Plot Hydreigon, perfectly fine. And we know that the Ursaluna does have Protect. So it's Protect and Ice Punch. Last moves are probably like Earthquake or Headlong, and then Facade. I'm very fine with either one, to be honest. My opponent doesn't really get a lot out of this. They're gonna withdraw Ursaluna, okay. And they're gonna bring in their last one here, which is Clefable. So no Valiant, that's interesting. That means they're definitely going to bank on Tera for Hydreigon here, which is perfectly fine. They don't actually click Tera, which is good because Focus Blast just nails that. Perfect, okay. We pretty much won the game at this point because my opponent cannot actually do anything against this anymore. I just go for Flash Cannon and Matcha Gotcha, and I actually clinch a win here, secured. And my opponent cannot do anything about that. They did get a lot of information on my team, to be fair, from this very accidental lead, albeit. But there's actually a lot of information they now have, just on my lead alone. Thankfully, though, I have preserved a backline, a very secure backline, that they don't know. So that does help a lot. What I can actually do guaranteed here is I can go for Matcha Gotcha, and then I can go for Flash Cannon. And this should guarantee stop my opponent from figuring out anything about my back two, unless if I miss Matcha Gotcha. It's the only way. Perfect. Flash Cannon's gonna go off without a hitch. They do follow me on Clefable as well, very good to note. They also missed their chance to kill Sinistcha, which if I missed Matcha Gotcha, that was their way of scouting my team. So I'm very fine with this. Matcha Gotcha just land. Okay, the Spit Drop doesn't really matter because frankly Jugulis just came in anyway. They didn't attack, so it never mattered. We do also know that Clefable is slower than Sinistcha. That means that it probably has very low speed investment, which means that my Heatran will outpace it, so the speed was very important there. Also, that means the Iron Hands will probably outpace. It's not a guarantee, but at minimum, we do outpace with Sinistcha. So very good. Sinistcha and Jugulis secured us game 1, albeit really quickly. I still have runtime to fill. So, yeah, we burned through like no information there. However, my opponent will definitely get off with like Valiant Persian this time. I am very certain of Valiant Persian. I feel like they also meant to Tera on the High Dragon. I can't imagine that was intentional. I feel like it's one of those things where either my opponent forgot that Jugulis got Focus Blast, or they just didn't think I'd click it there. And I feel like either way, that with their team, they didn't really have a reason to not Tera, because I don't really have a great way into that. So I feel like it was just an accidental not click of Tera that just really cost my opponent the game. If it was intentional, then maybe they were just scared of Dark Pulse, to be fair, because Dark Pulse did a lot of damage. We saw that Jugulis is kind of a monster when we can just freely invest in the offense. When we don't have to worry about speed boosting, believe it or not, Jugulis can do some real damage. But Covert, Cloak, Jugulis, yeah, no, goes kind of hard to this team, barring the Valiant, which did not come, thankfully. So moving into game 2, though, no Persian, no Valiant game 1. I fully anticipate both of those mons actually come. I think Rotom is kind of useless into my team, at least from the lead that they saw. It could be a good backliner, but it is useless into the team. So I'm curious to see what my opponent... Oh, that would explain a lot. I just realized my opponent's team is level 50. Well, that's fun. We're going to play game number 2 at level 50, so I'm going to cut to that. Okay, so my opponent ended up bringing a couple mons at level 50. I don't even know how much of the team was at level 50, frankly. My opponent mentioned Rotom specifically. So instead of having the set forfeit out, because I don't want to win like that and it makes the video boring, I'm going to be playing out at level 50. If we see a speed tie happen, I know it shouldn't speed tie, so I will call it immediately. I'm purely going to mention it just for the content, just for transparency's sake. I don't really care though. I even told my opponent this. I'd rather lose the set because of speed ties than get the forfeit win. And one, like, this is a playoff determining game for us, and it might even be for my opponent as well. I'm not claiming a playoff game like that. And even if my opponent ends up getting a complete forfeit loss for the set because of the level difference, I don't really care. I want the vid finish at least, just like what we did with Dell when the set got finished and we lost forfeit fully anyway. So for sake of the content, at least we're playing out, at least for game 2 and 3. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I'll address it at the end if that ends up coming up. But regardless, though, I do feel confident in our lead, actually. Now, I will say credit where due. I might change up the lead a little bit, specifically because Jugulis doesn't match up as well when Rotom's at level 50. Go figure. So I think that instead what I might do is I might lead off with Iron Hands instead, and I'm gonna bring Ting-Lu and Heatran, I think, in the back. Well, actually, no, I'm gonna bench Heatran. I'm gonna save that for game 3. Because we haven't revealed the tech, and I think that could actually be a really big game winner in game 3, especially looking at my opponent's Teras. They don't really combat Tera Blast Heatran super well outside of Valiant, which I am assuming is Tera Blast. I couldn't imagine it not having Tera Blast here. Actually, it might be Acro. It might be physical Acro. That could be kind of terrifying. But if it's physical Acro, I could body crush around it easier. Dragon Valiant. Okay, Valiant does lead. That's perfectly fine. We're going to lead off with Iron Hands and Sinistcha. So my opponent has yet to reveal that we do not have Fake Out on our spread. Very good information for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to massacre the fuck out of this Valiant here. I'm going to go for the Wild Charge immediately and just take this mon out. It's too much of a threat. Meanwhile, I'm also going to go for a Trick Room here. Now, at this point, the goal is going to be pretty simple. If my opponent kills my Sinistcha, that's fine. If my opponent kills my Iron Hands, that's fine. 1, we still have game 3. 2, I'm fully convinced they're going to probably go for some sort of Tera around this and just try and maybe click protect from some of their mons. They're going to Tera on one of these mons. It's going to be on Hydreigon. Perfect. We're going to Tera Hydreigon. Okay. That's perfectly fine. Alright, so this is perfectly fine. They're going to go for Moonblast and Iron Hands. It does not kill. Perfect. That is perfectly fine. We've also revealed Moonblast, and they go for Dark Pulse into Sinistcha. Again, does not kill. Perfect. So we are going to trade Iron Hands for Valiant. I'm pretty okay with that, in all honesty. I feel like we still do have other answers for the Tera Electric anyway on Hydreigon, so I'm not really too concerned here. Ooh, Valiant doesn't die. That's still Magic Gotcha range, though. And with Trick Room up, I now have a full speed advantage against my opponent. They have a really fast score here, thankfully, and they did not go for Nasty Plot on Hydreigon, so I don't even need to worry about it as a wall breaker. Also, it's just going to take more from Sinistcha now, which is very fine by me. We can go right into my Ting-Lu. Ting-Lu will kind of just wall the team at this point. Just to be safe, I am going to target into Valiant. Actually, I don't know if I want to. I'm not going to target into Valiant. I'm going to just Tera. This is my Terramon anyway, and frankly, it matches up very well into my opponent, so I'm going to go for it. I'm going to Tera Blast right into Hydreigon as well, because again, that just benefits me more. They don't have a Grass Switch on that side, and I feel like if anything, that's the one that would switch out here. Also because, frankly, again, we can take on things like, I mean, it's not going to go for Tera Blast to us, obviously, but we'll still take on things like Random Focus Blast a little bit easier from that, which is good. I fully anticipate my opponents probably have a Focus Blast on that set because it's the best way to actually damage Ting-Lu. But they at minimum do have Dark Pulse and Nasty Plot. They're going to go for Protect. Perfect. Okay, so I targeted the Hydreigon. Oh my god, I cannot talk. This Tera Blast will probably do about half. Magic Gotcha also will get us some nice health back. That's a crit. Okay, so that actually did about a third. It's good to note. We still will be fine, honestly, even if they do kill my Sinistcha. I'm kind of okay with that. Because frankly, the only mon that I need alive at this point is Ting-Lu. Ting-Lu will deal enough. Sinistcha already cleared through so much of the field anyway, so I'm kind of okay with this. They're going for Nasty Plot. Okay, perfect. That is great for me. Credit where due, the crit actually hurt a lot there, but I don't know. I mean, it would have came down to rolls definitively at that point. If we did do that much with the crit, that would have definitely been a roll without it. So I'll take what I can get. Frankly, though, this wasn't couched for neutral Tera into Hydreigon anyway, so I'm kind of okay with just the fact we did that much damage. They're going to reveal Protect, so their coverage is pretty limited, which is fine for me. In all honesty, we're going to deal some good damage to Valiant either way, so I'm pretty fine with this. Plus, Jugulis will still be able to deal some good damage as well to my opponent. And as long as I can hit Valiant here, we should be in a good position because I could just bully the Ting-Lu, the Ursaluna, which will most likely come in on the following turn. Plus, we'll get some nice passive recovery for Lily here. So, perfect. Valiant is gone. That's a huge one right there. We've also revealed Moonblast and Protect here. Really huge. I did not remember to check the booster item though. I know it has booster energy. I just forgot to check which one it is. So that's going to be important. They do bring in Ursaluna. Okay. So that's fine. We're going to proceed to just go for another Matcha here. I know we can burn Ursa, but honestly, again, it's still kind of my best play just to damage the Hydreigon a bit better. Then we're going to go for Tera Blast yet again, the Hydreigon, because again, it's my best play. They're going to go for Protect, so be it. My Ting-Lu will underpace that, so I'm kind of okay with this. Plus, Ting-Lu will comfortably take any sort of hit this wants to fire off, so again, very fine with that. Hydreigon drops here. It's a little unfortunate, actually, and this might be, as weird as it is to kind of complain about hacks being in my favor, I feel like if anything is, well, out of my favor, I feel like if anything, that's where the crit kind of burns, because I could have actually gotten more recovery on Sinistcha, to where now I might actually be pressured by Ursaluna. Again, not exactly like the best place to really be calling out crits mattering in my, well, out of my favor or not, but I think there's a case to be made there, at least. I'm curious about what my opponent's last mon will be. They're going to go into Rotom. Okay, Rotom is fine, actually. I can just go for Tera Blast right into Rotom, and then Magic Gotcha as well. And I think that will be kind of good for us. Actually, let me check Trick Room, because I might go for one turn of Trick Room. Okay, then I don't need to go for reverse Trick Room. I can just go for Magic Gotcha here, and then I can go for Tera Blast. I'm going to go for the Rotom, specifically because it harms Jugulis a little bit more, and I can Dark Pulse into the Ursaluna later anyway. And I think this will just be more beneficial. Plus, this helps with getting damage on Rotom before I get Ting-Lu burned. And yeah, they're not going to kill my Sinistcha anyway, so I can just get the Matcha and then kill Rotom before it would kill anything or burn me. So this does help me a lot, actually. And then I can proceed to kill Ting-Lu in the following turn, which is huge. Thankfully, Ursaluna is still gonna just not deal a lot of damage to my team, and I have enough threats in the field to where I can clear this successfully. So we're in a really good position, actually. I feel confident in the win. Very unfortunate, of course, that my opponent did end up bringing Mon to level 50, but sometimes it's just the name of the game, really. For what it's worth, I do think that the matchup was really good for us, so I don't know how much it mattered. Obviously, it lost them game 1, but frankly, I still feel confident that Ting-Lu could have just done the same work. Ting-Lu plus Sinistcha was just really good into my opponent's team. But yeah, Ursaluna, unfortunately, it did finally get burnt. So, oh, I just realized, so they weren't Flame Orb. I think they were definitely Guts, but they were not Flame Orb. So I was correct in my prep, actually. That they were not going to be Flame Orb. Well, they might have been Guts without Flame Orb. Because, it was really good to the team, to be fair. So I'll take solace in knowing that, at least, that I wasn't wrong in the call for that for prep. Because again, it's kind of just a pride thing, similar to finishing out the vid just for finishing out the vid. It's just a pride thing knowing that, like, such a ridiculous call to make, because you wouldn't think that Ursaluna would just ditch Flame Orb. It's like it's bread and butter. But in counter team, it's kind of viable to do, and I think that Ursaluna had a lot of good item choices here, to where that kind of made sense. And also, all of its abilities did match up well to me. And especially when one of my best mons in the matchup is Sinistcha. That was like the first mon I put on my builder, because Matcha Gotcha is pretty hard for my opponent to check outside of Hydra, which is also their best Tera mon. When it's just that weak of a team to grass, I feel like there is definitely some merit, like some serious merit into maybe just trying to self-proc. So I'll take pride in that. Regardless though, we're gonna cut to Future Me for the actual outro, because again, we're playing this about a week early before upload. So obviously, as I did with last week, we're gonna do a really quick playoff standing update. This is clear spoilers for the current ongoing MDA season for this week's worth of games. So 3, 2, too bad. We're currently 2nd seed. We're 4-2 with 13 differential overall. Incredible. We're just behind Pat Mac, who was our week 1 loss, by 2 points. And the next runner-up is actually Gert, who's 4 points behind us right now as another 4-2 seed. Pat Mac also does have a win over us, considering they're 5-1, but even just being 4-2 plus 13 is really good. Essentially, this would mean that Incog would need to beat us very comfortably too. And not only that, but Ian would need to win as well. Specifically, there's 7 differential points between myself and Ian right now. And that's really the only way that we miss playoffs is if Ian wins, because everyone else is 2-4. So if Ian loses the week 7 game, I actually clinch playoffs without even having to play Incog. And even if that doesn't happen, of course, we should still be fine. Plus, Ian also ends up playing Gert. So this means that not only does that game need to be close, but really the differential kicker here needs to be from us losing significantly to Incog. Because if the game is literally just like 2 differential off, to where Gert goes to -7, let's say, and Ian gets to 8, then I just need to lose enough to where I'm not behind Gert, which would basically come down to like a 7-0 loss. So we're pretty locked for playoffs in terms of a practical sense, since most likely one of Gert or Ian will just knock the other out. However, it is still definitely possible. We just will have to wait and see. Hopefully you guys enjoyed though, and if you did enjoy this MDA battle, leave a like on the video and subscribe for more. We will be having a video this Friday. I finally caught up on all of the post-Toronto work, so we can actually get back on schedule with content yet again. I'm so sorry about the lack of it recently. It's been bothering me not uploading. We do have some channel members to go over, of course. We do have, firstly, our newest channel member for the bigger fan tier, our first bigger fan, Vincent Wee. Shout out to Vincent Wee. Really appreciate the extra mile, and really appreciate the fact that we have a bigger fan finally. But for our standard channel members, we also do have Zeke, Mia, Rao Sakura, Obo, Johannes B, The Double, Endless Gadgets, Ben Bambi, Josh K, Ultra Player, and Mia. Your guys' support as well is also greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much for helping regardless of whatever tier you end up contributing to. And with that said, if you want to become a channel member, of course, the button is going to be down below, as well as the subscribe button if you want to not miss any other MDA content. We'll see you guys in the next battle, where we'll be taking out Incog for our final week. Incog's one of my favorite people in the community in general, so I'm really looking forward to this game. Even if it doesn't really matter for Incog's standings, I'm sure that he'll bring a fun team nonetheless. We'll see you guys in the next one, though. Peace out, guys.